You're listening to international investment advisor Doug Goldstein on the Goldstein on Gelt show, the financial show where we'll talk about how you can make the most of your money. With all the confusing financial chatter bombarding you each and every day, Goldstein on Gelt will give you the practical information you want and need about living a financially stable life. Here's your host, money maven Doug Goldstein.
Okay, we are back. We are talking with Art Harman. He's the director of the Coalition to Save Manned Space Exploration, and he's worked in public policy for decades in the nation's capital. Art, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Well, thanks so much, Doug. Glad to be on the show.
So you've got this fabulous coalition about saving manned space exploration. Why is that so important?
Well, in so many ways, space exploration is not only the future of humanity, it's also the future of our country, of our economy, and high technology. If we go back to the 1960s, and the challenge is to build, in 1961, a rocket to take us to the moon and land and come back safely. Oh my goodness, at that time, computers were sort of entire floors of buildings, and they had to miniaturize it down to something that would fit in a very small, smaller than a car. And nowadays, we've got that on our phones, that computing power and far more. But that's where it came from. That's where the impetus, that's where the necessity to how are we going to miniaturize this came from. Mm-hmm. And that really created the high-tech boom that lasted for decades, with the United States being the preeminent leader in the world in high technology. And the benefits of that and to the whole world were incredible.
So you're suggesting the implication is that had we not had the space program, then today we would not be living in a world of iPads and cool MP3 players?
I think it would have been slower. I think we would have gotten to similar places, but it would have been a lot slower because here's an example. A recent NASA spinoff is self-cleaning solar panels. Mm-hmm. Now, there was no real need to create a self-cleaning solar panel. If you've got a big desert solar array, because you can just hire somebody to go out and hose the thing down once a day, or put sprayers on it, and they do that. But when you're 100 million miles away, you can't do that. And so they came up with a way, I think it involves like static electricity to sort of, give a reverse static charge to make the dust particles leap off of the solar panels. But that's kind of the example. We might eventually have come upon it, but when you've got that absolute necessity, there's going to be nobody there to spray the things down every morning. So what are we going to do? And that is, whether it's that or Edison trying to figure out how to make an incandescent light bulb, that's sort of the mother of invention.
But it seems like you're hitting the problem or not even knowing what the problem with the sledgehammer, or that the government, which spends billions of dollars on the space program, is then just really subsidizing the commercial market and helping them get ahead in technology instead of just letting it go at its own pace.
Well, you could certainly make the point that, the people are in effect subsidizing the advancement of technology where it might not have otherwise gone. But it's an investment. The incredible benefits to this country and to the world from having gone to the moon and then into with the space shuttle and rovers on Mars. It does percolate through all of society and the world. So it's something that it's a very beneficial thing to do.
So another more indirect way of handling this might have been for the government to give subsidies to companies doing high-tech work. For example, in Israel, there are incubators that are subsidized by the Office of the Chief Scientist. And basically, if you're an entrepreneur and you come up with an idea or an inventor, you can apply for money to help you do that. Would that be a more direct way to enhance high-tech research?
If the only purpose is to advance high-tech research, sure. I think there's an incredible value to seeing what's out there. I've spoken with astronaut Harrison Schmitt. He's the first, the only geologist to be on the moon. And he says that there's a great value to having human eyes and hands and feet there to distinguish between two rocks in a way that a rover can't, and to say, oh, this is more interesting. You've got that judgment there. But also, what are you doing? You're exploring. You're finding out what's beyond, just like the ancient explorers did in the 13th century and so forth. It's what's beyond, and that's a part of humanity too.
Absolutely. We are talking to Art Harman, who's the director of the Coalition to Save Manned Space Exploration. I'd like to focus a little more on what you're talking about by sending astronauts to space. There is a huge amount of excitement, but and in sending people, it certainly adds a lot of expense and risk. Assuming that America doesn't want to spend the money today on sending manned spacecraft, would you, as a second thing, support a vigorous unmanned space program?
Well, we do have that. In fact, we've got a mission to Mars, the Curiosity, which in about a year or so will be landing on Mars, and it's going to go around and bring back or show us incredible science. And we've got out at Saturn, we've got a satellite that's bringing back incredible data as well. So we're doing that. But when you take the humanity out of the equation, funding tends to drop. So, because here's an example. When I go to a space shuttle launch, there's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people there. There were more than 1 million people watching right there at Kennedy Space Center for the final space shuttle launch. Now, you can have the coolest robot blasting off to go to Mars or wherever, and you just won't get that because it doesn't have the human element. Both can provide good science, but a robot can only do the very few things that it is programmed to do. That boot on the ground, without human judgment, like Harrison Schmitt was saying, can do so much more. And then, ultimately we'll be bringing back rocks from Mars, things like that, and we'll really know a lot more about the planet than we could just with robots.
If you looked at it from an investment point of view, we're talking about a situation where the American government itself, which really means the American people, are investing in this type of exploration as opposed to, let's say, private industry. What sort of return on investment could the American people expect to get from this?
Well, here's a couple of things. And first, let's take a look at what is the cost. The entire NASA budget, that's the entire thing from maintaining buildings and facilities around the country to, weather satellites, all sorts of routine things. It only comes to about, this year probably even less than, this coming year, less than $17 billion.
That's without the Space Shuttle program?
Right, yeah. And, we spent more, the U.S. spent more air conditioning tents in Iraq and Afghanistan for our troops. I'm not saying don't air condition your tents, but that puts it into perspective. And the manned space percentage of that is even smaller. So it's several $billion. But here's a couple of things we could get out of that. So let's say we're going to go to Mars, and that's like a 2.5 year journey round trip. We're going to have to learn in incredible advances in power that could mean cheaper, cleaner power and energy here. We're going to have to learn more about the environment because we're going to have a totally closed environmental system, life support system, because there's no supply ships that's going to be coming every few months carrying more.
Sure. I hear. So there's a lot of technology that would be built that could be used in other areas. Is it possible that the kind of Star Trek that at least I grew up on, I guess you and I grew up on, this model where there would be long-term, 5-year missions in space at least where people would be exploring? Is there a possibility that we could really get to that, let's say, in our lifetime?
Oh, most certainly. I think in our lifetimes we'll see people going to the outer planets. Jupiter. I could certainly see a manned mission that would go out to Jupiter, to Saturn, and things like that, where they might orbit for a year or so and conduct experiments and so forth. One way to get to get back from Mars quicker is you loop past Venus. Interestingly enough, and so we might see that within the next 15 years or so, where we go to Mars and on the way back we take a swing by Venus, and that'd be pretty cool.
Right. But the argument that you're making, I just want to be very clear, because as this is a financial show, is that as cool as it is, and as much as I always tell my wife, I would really love the opportunity to watch the Earth rise over the horizon on the moon. And she says, no way, you can't go. And although I think that would be wonderful, your bottom line is that the cost of doing this is that it's not terribly expensive compared to other things that the U.S. government is spending money on, and that the potential rewards more than outweigh the cost of doing it, even for manned space exploration, which is more expensive than unmanned.
Absolutely. There's risks, sure, and we'll probably see, just like we saw with the space shuttle and tragically even the Israeli astronaut who perished in Columbia. We'll see things like that, and they may be horrifying, but it's happened in all exploration of humanity, and we've learned and we've grown and we've overcome and gotten things to be better and safer. First airplanes, my goodness. Where were we going with that? People might say, nobody can afford it. But now you can afford anybody practically can afford a ticket to see family and friends halfway around the world.
Yeah, that's true. And you want to go pretty far. In fact, I just wanted to mention to you, my brother is a professor at the University of Texas, David Goldstein, and he was responsible. If you remember, about 10, 15 years ago, NASA had a satellite that was running to the end of its mission, and so he called some of his colleagues there and said, why don't we crash that satellite where we think it's most likely to find water? And they did that experiment, and all the telescopes in the world pointed at that one spot. And then they repeated the experiment again about 2 years ago. And as of course they did find evidence of water. So it seems like the moon might be a good stopping point to take the next steps, as you're describing, to Mars and planets at the end of the universe.
Absolutely, the moon is a beautiful test bed because it's got so many features that we'll find on Mars and say the moons of Jupiter and Saturn. It's got low gravity. It's got no atmosphere. Mars has an atmosphere, but it's very, very faint and not breathable. Both have fine dust that'll get into the mechanisms of everything. Both have water ice, as you said. Both have intense radiation. And both have what they call lava tube caves, which were, from ancient volcanoes, sort of these hollowed out passageways that lava would have rushed. And every once in a while, they've seen on both the moon and Mars, holes where, like, a bit of it falls through. Well, what do? You put your habitat down inside that, and you protect it against meteorites, you protect it against radiation. And just like on a cave on Earth, the temperature is a fairly constant and safe temperature. Like minus 20 or something.
All right, sounds slightly inhospitable, but certainly something we can learn. We've been talking to Art Harman, who's the director of the Coalition to Save Manned Space Exploration. It's been fascinating, but Art, unfortunately, we're just about out of time. Tell me, how can people learn more about what you're doing?
Well, it's been a delight talking with you. SaveMannedSpace.com is our website, SaveManned, MANNED space.com, and there you'll also get links to our Twitter and Facebook and YouTube pages.
Okay, that sounds great. Art Harman, thanks again very much for your time.
Thanks a lot. I enjoyed it greatly.
You've been listening to the Goldstein on Gelt Show with money maven Doug Goldstein. Doug's weekly radio show is heard around the world, but if you miss it, you can download the podcast at www.goldsteinongelt.com. The Goldstein on Gelt Show gives you up-to-date financial ideas so you can get on the path to financial freedom. If you'd like your questions answered on the air or off, send Doug an email to doug@profile-financial.com. It's your money for your future, so join Doug every week to build your wealth on the Goldstein on Gelt Show.